what goes through my mind is positioning, just executing the first phase of the race and being in the right spot and not getting stuck in the pack, because at cross country it's hard to get through if you're too far back.
This women's 2016 NCAA Division I Championship is off, and the race for the title begins here. In about 20 minutes, things will shape up as we will look to have an individual crown and a team title. And this straightaway here in Terre Haute, Bob, I don't know if this course was around back when you were running, but this straightaway, pretty unbelievable, about 800 meters straight down here, very wide, as the runners will come together over the next quarter mile.
Yeah, one thing you can definitely say about this course is it's fair. There's no quick turns after the start. You don't have to overrun early to get in position, to not get pinched, all those kind of things. So, as you said, very wide, very long, and a very fair start.
And it'll be interesting to see what will happen early on here. We saw, we mentioned Brenna Peliquin early in the season, was really at Griac, pushing the pace up there, ran really strong. A few weeks later at Wisconsin, very cool windy conditions there. Everyone stayed very relaxed, ran pretty slow through the early stages, and then Peliquin took off. The next day at Pre-Nats, we saw Erin Finn dominate and just lead from really early stages, and so today we'll see who takes the lead first. I see Anna Aurora up front, some of the New Mexico ladies, the defending team champs from last year up there on the outside with some good position, but the rest of their teammates actually pretty far back, so we'll see where they are. They're ranked around the top 10 right now.
Yeah, you can see Alice Wright of New Mexico there on your screen. And I was wondering, what are these athletes going to do with this wind? But it looks like they're not holding back. I see Alice Wright, you see Anna Aurora in the green. And those are two athletes that we saw push the pace at Wisconsin up there with Brenna Peliquin and really hammered their conference championships. Alice Wright just ran away with the Mountain West title, and Anna Aurora with the ACC title. So no surprises to see these two women up front here.
As one of the favorites for the individual title, Bob, how do you gauge your game plan early on? When you were in that position as a freshman, I guess all 4 years for you, did you always have the same game plan? Were some years, hey, I'm going to take the cage control, or sit back and let someone else make the move? How do you feel that out?
Right, and I think it just depends on where you are in your own training and how you feel where you feel your own strengths and weaknesses are in any given year. Certainly my first few years, I was really just sitting in the pack and trying to make a move or react to a move. My senior year, I actually ran some up and down fartlek after 3K in the race and broke it open. And so just kind of feeling out. I think as a favorite individual, you really want to be unpredictable as much as possible, because if you're predictable, then your competitors can key off of you and have their own game plan that might be successful.
You see a lot of those favorites we mentioned up front right now. Erin Finn was on the left of your screen. You see her in the Michigan top. Anna Aurora in the green on the right, and New Mexico with two. Alice Wright, one of them.
See Rachel Schulis on the outside there, coming from that team in 2014 that won the team title for Michigan State. She looks to be back healthy, running up there with the top ladies.
And this is where they're making their first big turn in the race. And I think, after they make this turn, this wind is going to be hitting their face quite hard. This will be interesting to see who responds to this, and if anything different, changes with these leaders.
So 6,000 meters, this championship race for the women. We will have splits at 2,000 meters and 4,000 meters for the individuals. Also get some updated team scores throughout this. As we mentioned, Colorado comes in as that favorite, but three ladies on that team never having run at this event. That will be the difference maker for the Buffalo, and obviously Erin Clark, a low stick for them. They're hoping to be up there in that top 10. So Anna Aurora, though, early on here looking pretty strong, as there's a good pack of ladies behind her. It looks like they're trying to bunch together like we are up here in the booth, trying to stay warm.
I think I'd really like to see them running the tangents a little bit better. They're just spread out wide across, and there's a lot of long straightaways on this course, but then there's also a lot of twisty turns, and in conditions like today, that can really have an impact at the end of the race.
So a little over 4.5 minutes in.
I'm trying to get a gauge of that, where teams are really placed out. I really don't see much Colorado in the front group. They're kind of staying back a bit, typical Mark Wetmore fashion. chill out the first few Ks before you really make your move in the second part of that race. But Anna Rohr.
Yeah, Rohr asserting herself up front early here. You see Courtney Smith up in that top 10 from Harvard, representing the Ivy League.
So Rohr and Finn, they got to race each other in the Great Lakes Regional last weekend up in Madison, Wisconsin, and they were together for a majority of the race before Erin Finn broke it open. So it's interesting to see those two ladies at the top, but Rohr is now setting this pace early on.
We mentioned last year Erin Finn, one of the top in the NCAA, had some misfortune where her shoes were stepped on. Both shoes came off. She kept running without her shoes, finished in the top 20 to help her team along. And this year she said she's ready to come back, keep her shoes on. But she also said she was really, really happy that it could have been a lot worse if someone had stepped on an Achilles or something even worse to happen there. So looking for her to stay up there out of trouble today.
See some of those Providence athletes in the back of the pack, right there in the middle.
Yeah, with the white stripes on the back of the jersey there, the Providence Friars.
Brenna Peliquin still sitting back in about 10th place right now. She's the only one who has defeated the current #1 seed in Erin Finn. So it'll be interesting to see how she rebounds from a kind of a struggle past couple weeks.
I see Schweizer up there, Karissa Schweizer from Missouri, one of the, I think, ranked 5th or 6th coming into this weekend.
Yeah, Schweizer is a good story. She was top 5 in the NCAA Outdoor 5K last year, came into this cross-country season, had a great race at Prenats here on this course before winning the SEC title and the Midwest Regional title, leading Missouri to that Midwest championship, which was a real shocker against Oklahoma State and Iowa State.
And splits are up, 6:28 through 2,000 meters. Anna Rohr leads, Finn, Thackeray and Wright of New Mexico, Schweitzer of Missouri, Smith of Harvard, Lochetti of Kansas, Koech of UTEP, and Peliquin of Boise State are your top 9 in that women's field. And you see their times on the board there. So a very, very strong group. A lot of those ladies we called out in that top 10. Lochetti, we saw her dominate over at the Big 12 championships just a couple weeks ago. Also has a special connection with one of the men out here, Mr. Edward Cheserek. So a very fast couple, maybe the fastest in the NCAA right now. And update unofficial team scores right now through the 2K. Michigan, 48 points. They came in ranked number 3 in the nation. Oregon at 60 points. Stanford at 99. Colorado, the favorites, at 107. And NC State, who we said number 2 coming in, sitting right now in 5th at 111. So relatively close from 3 through 5 there. But early on.
And it's important to note these scores are only accounting a few of the teams. As you can see now, Michigan has 68 points, Oregon has 88, Stanford 135, and Colorado 156. So as more of the athletes cross that 2K split, the team scores will adjust. So right now, Michigan, Oregon, Stanford, and Colorado.
Yeah,
top 4.
And when you see those splits flash up on the right in parentheses, you'll see the number of athletes from each team that have crossed over the split mark. So those scores will continue to update as Rohr up front, continue to push here. And Finn doing a great job. Meg, are you surprised to see Michigan leading right now early on?
I am a little surprised. I'm curious as to what Mike McGuire told the girls before the race today. I texted him early on. I said, Coach, it's windy. It's really, really windy out here. And he said, we knew this was going to happen. We prepared for this. And obviously, when you have a low stick Finn, I think it motivates the rest of the scorers a little bit more to pack together and do whatever they can.
One of the common messages between all the teams that we saw, coaches and individuals that were up at the press conference, was running with their team. They said, obviously you want to do well as an individual because it helps your team. Their individual goals are kind of out the window. Everything is about focusing on their team needs and what their other runners are looking for them to do. So Erin Finn obviously wants to do well, try to win a title, but her first thought today is being as low as she can for the Wolverine squad.
Right, and you look at the screen right now, you see 2 New Mexicos there in a group of about 15, but you also see 2 Oregon Ducks. That's Allie Cash wearing the long sleeves, and right next to her, that is true freshman Katie Rainsberger. That's a freshman that we said was going to probably be the top freshman in this race. She was the NXN champion last year, a Colorado native, and she's been running great for the Ducks. Top 10 at Prenats, top 10 at the Pac-12 championships. No surprises to see her running up there with Cash, an All-American from last year.
It looks like we're already seeing a separation there, and that top 10 individuals really opening it up here in the second part of this race, led by Anna Rohr. Bob, when's the decision when you realize that people aren't running with their teams anymore, that the real individual races started to take form, and you see the separation getting built? What's the game plan here right now through the race?
Yeah, I think if they're really, it's likely they're kind of sussing their own and then trying to figure out how their immediate competitors are feeling and watching closely, because sometimes you can have these really subtle, you can feel these subtle moves that aren't real moves we can't see on the cameras. You can't even see if you're standing right next to the course. But when you start feeling those things out, you might throw in a little test that you're not really committed to, see how people react, and then you decide. When you decide, and you go, though.
So Peliquin looking pretty strong right now up front here as an individual. And Bob, I don't know if you feel as an individual, does that give you any extra edge versus someone who's running for their team? You know, and maybe has some other stresses to worry about.
I think it possibly does. You have only yourself to worry about, success or failure, and you're not letting anyone down. But if you make too strong of a move or bite off a little too much in the beginning of this race and finish 20th instead of 2nd or 3rd or 4th, that has a major impact on your team. That's got to be in the back of your head.
I'm pretty surprised. You know, a lot of the coaches yesterday were concerned about these windy conditions, and Anna Rohr said, you know what, I don't care. I'm going and I'm taking it. Are you surprised to see what we're watching here from her?
I mean, she knows what her strengths are, and sometimes you know, you can't just change that on a dime because the weather changes. So you got to stick with what brought you to the dance, so to speak, and she's committed to it, and you got to give her credit for that.
Yeah, Erin Finn, you know, she talked about having that Midwest grit yesterday. She was excited for these weather conditions. She's from Michigan, Anna Rohr from Indiana. It's no surprise to see these two women comfortable in the front.
Yeah, she said, we love the harsh conditions. We think it hurts us less than anyone.
Yeah.
So they are coming up over 12 minutes now, so we'll be getting our 4K split relatively soon, as it is Rohr next to Finn, Schweizer there, Lochetti, Peliquin.
And Charlotte Taylor from San Francisco, she had a great finish, top 5 in the West region to lead the Dons to a team berth here at the NCAA Championships.
So a very strong run. New Mexico, 2 low sticks up front there with Oregon right behind them. Portland's got one, Indiana. So a good mix of teams up there right now as we're coming up on close to 13 minutes. And Lochetti, we didn't have her in that top 10. We saw her dominate, like we mentioned, at the Big 12s. She's really come a long way since last year as a freshman and putting herself up in the mix right now. So really going to be interesting to see what happens over the last 2K.
Yeah, these are the top women in the country. You know, Lochetti and Schweizer battled each other at the Midwest region, but Schweizer got the win, so she wants that payback. She's staying stride for stride with the Missouri athlete right here.
We saw Greg Metcalf of Washington yelling at his team there, and we got splits at 2K. Anna Rohr, 13:05, Finn, Lochetti, Schweizer, Peliquin, all right there, 13:05 to 13:06, and then Taylor at 13:09, Wright and Thackeray, New Mexico, 13:11, 13:12, and Perrier of New Hampshire at 13:12. Perrier, the New Hampshire athlete to win a Northeast Regional title coming into this weekend, so a big notch on her belt, and she was very confident and excited yesterday in the press conference. So.
And none of the team scored players are really in this top 10 right now outside of Erin Finn, as team scores are slowly coming in. Oregon preliminary looks like to be in the lead, but that's only with 5 teams currently scored. But the gap is tight, and Colorado has moved up a bit as well.
So this is very interesting. Oregon unofficially at 78 points, Michigan at 102, Colorado at 107, NC State at 120, and Stanford at 167. So this will be very interesting over the final 2K. Another very common message between the teams yesterday is you have to have something over the final 2K to win the national title for the team competition. So right now, 3 are breaking away. These are 3 that we've talked about all year. Finn doing it for her team. Rohr here with a team, but potentially not in the mix for that team title. And Peliquin trying to win an individual title all alone here and representing Boise State. Finn trying to do what we saw at the pre-nats and dominate in the later stages, but man, Aurora is responding here.
They've really shifted gears. I mean, this acceleration, you can just see just spreading it out, and the battle's amazing.
You gotta like where Peliquin has been in this race. She has yet to be in the lead, kind of staying out of that wind, and now it's down to those final three between Aurora, Peliquin, and Finn. And as we see some of the teams here coming through. Again, Oregon preliminarily here through 4K with the lead. Colorado back in, I believe, third as Anna Rohrer.
Back to the lead for Rohrer, trying to put Notre Dame on top 2 years in a row. Molly Siddell won it for them last year, broke that Foot Locker curse, the first Foot Locker champion on the women's side to win an NCAA Cross Country title. Rohrer, a Foot Locker champion herself, trying to follow up in the footsteps of her teammate, and she's got a step on Peliquin and Finn right now, and it'll be interesting to see if Peliquin has anything over this final K. She has not made a move to go to the lead yet, but you know, after the last couple weeks running so well early on, she wants to prove she is not just one of the best, but potentially the best out here today. Rohrer's going to definitely make that tough right now.
Ryan, they're climbing right now, and Rohrer's taken to the field on the hill, and it'll be interesting to see what happens once they crest. Sometimes when you're racing uphill, you'll let someone go a few yards, and as you crest and they relax, you hit it down the hill. I don't know if that's what's going through their head, but we'll see what happens here in about 100 yards.
They're about 16:20 there through 5K.
Now, how Rohrer, all these ladies in the top 5, obviously so talented. They know what they can do. Is she? How easy is it to mistime something like this at their level? Or do you feel she's confident in
I think
what she's
she's
doing
confident
here?
right now. It's her race to win right now. Normally at this stage in the race, when she's running with that kind of confidence, she knows she can maintain that, or she feels like she can maintain that. Now, if Erin Flynn can find another gear, finish up over the last kilometer faster, catch her, run her down, that's on Erin Flynn. But you're not making a move like this if you're worried about going the other direction.
Rohrer is making this really difficult. She is opening the gap here. Erin Finn in second. Lochetti is in third, moved up from about 4th or 5th, now in front of Peliquin. Brenna Peliquin back in about 4th right now, right there with Schweizer in 5th. So the top 5 very defined right now, and the leader very defined. But this is Terre Haute, folks, and the final 400 meters, we've seen some crazy things happen. So watch out as they're getting ready to round the turn into that final home stretch.
And the home stretch is a crosswind, but it's still going to have an impact.
And you see that chase pack, I think that's Aaron Clark there. Dropping back a bit. We'll see how the team battling. It's kind of really unknown with Anna Rohrer making such a big move and opening up the field.
So 8:15 on the clock, and Anna Rohrer rounds the turn for home. 400 meters between her and the finish line, and Erin Finn behind her now in second. Lochetti of Kansas in third, Schweizer in 4th, Peliquin in 5th. We got Oregon back there in 6th.
And Erin Finn slowly closing that gap. Looks like she's closing hard. It's hard to tell from this angle, this perspective, but that gap is closing.
There you go, a great shot there. We're also joined up in the booth by Sheila Reed, who had some travel troubles but has been in this position before. Erin Finn takes the lead on Anna Rohrer, and Sheila, you've been here. What's this final 400 like?
It's the most vulnerable part of the course, Ryan. The wind is blowing in your face. The entire crowd is now bunched up here to watch. Erin just looks back at Anna, and this is a very familiar view for me.
There you go, Finn trying to hold on to the title that's in her hands right now. Anna Rohrer fought for it from the beginning, but watch out for Karissa Schweizer from Missouri. She might jump them both and surprise the field here.
Oh my goodness,
and here we go. Schweizer, Missouri, trying to go by Finn, and she does. Can Finn respond? She's trying to go with her. It's going to be Schweizer of Missouri winning her first cross-country title, coming through the line in just over 19 minutes and 40 seconds. Schweizer, your champ. Finn in second. Rohrer in third. some low points there for Michigan, who led early, and Oregon, who had a lead. Now they're crossing in 5th. Luchetti in 6th. What a finish, and we're going to follow them up here, try and get their shot on the finish line. We see Providence and Washington coming in, and Clemson finishes up. San Francisco, Indiana. Here's Michigan State and Penn.
Oregon's got 2 wins.
So Oregon, the first 2 with 2. We see
Michigan has 2. Oregon's 3rd in. Here comes Colorado now.
Colorado just had 2 cross the line. Michigan's got another one coming in. Missouri had another. Oh man, this is going to be crazy.
Colorado got Colorado in.
Colorado just had 4, 5, and 6.
I believe right now.
Michigan might have 5 through now, so it's all a wait on the team score. Schweizer, 1941, her official time. Finn, 1944. Rohr was 1944. Rainsberger of Oregon moved up. The freshman, we said she'd probably be the top frosh, also one of the top in the country at 1951. Luchetti of Kansas, 1952. Peliquin there, you see the times on the board in 6th. Perrier of New Hampshire there in 7th. Amy Eloise Neal of Washington in 8th. Barnett of Clemson in 9th. So what a battle up front. And now it's just a waiting game for that team title as we wait the scores. But Schweizer, we had her up in that top 10 coming in, but I don't know if anyone would have guessed that she would have been up there for the win.
I like Schweizer, and she had a lot of wins this year. They weren't really against kind of those top girls like Finn and Rohr that we were talking about a lot, but she's competitive. She likes to compete, and I like that.
Notably, Katie Rainsberger of Oregon, a true freshman, 4th overall. Impressive run for her. And we're still waiting on those team scores. Colorado had a nice pack in about the 30 to 40 range. Oregon had some of the low sticks, so it'll be interesting to see how the team scores play out as we wait for those to be calculated.
So the masses, the big masses are in. You see that corral just filled with athletes. And when you cross that line, Sheila, you were 2 national championship teams, won 2 individual titles. 2010, 2011, your team won 09 and 2010. What's it like when you're crossing that corral, trying to find your teammates and wondering what's going on?
I was very lucky, I feel, in 2009 because everyone was scored pretty low, so it was pretty easy to tell that we had won. 2010, our 5th runner was a little further back. 2011, there were about 5 teams who maybe thought that they'd won, and we were all huddled in the finishing area hoping that we were the ones who won. So everyone's just trying to find their teammates right now, hopefully trying to keep warm as it is very cold out here. But yeah, it's all nerves now. It's really, really hard to tell at this point. Who's won?
And we're all waiting, and the top 10 were on the board. Now we're going to see 10 through 18. One team we haven't seen, now we do, is it's NC State. Kemp leading them in 17th place, and their coach yesterday, we mentioned earlier, said when Kemp is leading them, that's when they run at their best. So we'll see how far back the rest of the Wolfpack was. But
through 2, Oregon and Michigan both have 2 in the top 18.
Team scores are official. The Oregon women are your national champions. 125 points. They've scored 1 point over the Michigan Wolverines, 125 to 126, and then Colorado 134, 9 points behind the winners there. So
1 point.
Top 3 separated by 9 points, and NC State back there in 4th at 223 points. Wow.
That is insane. One place. It's just, it could have been a lean. It could have been a lean at one of the lines.
Yeah.